Alright, hello there. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on the Advanced Storm Controller, costing 963 memory in first place and 14 afterwards. This device should only be used to make multiple zones, making a storm with multiple phases, because if you're trying to do just one phase, like for box fights, then you should just use the basic storm controller device. Let's look in the settings. Generate storm on game start is up to you. I recommend it on yes, but if you have players spawn outside of the storm, have it set to no. Storm phases, set this to custom. There's no reason you should have it set to default because it just removes customizability and just makes things much more painful to deal with. Phase 1 radius, so that's just the radius of the storm whenever it first spawns. So if you have generate storm on game start set to yes, this will be the storm radius as soon as it spawns. Delay time basically means how long does it take for the storm to actually appear, and so none is what I recommend. On finish behavior, I recommend on stay, but if you are going to be doing something like having the storm need to be able to destroy after all the phases have done, you can do that on there. Balance radius, if you're using random zones, this is how far the zones can actually go from the storm controller device, so this can make sure that your storms don't go off the map or anything crazy like that. Storm sickness is the recent Battle Royale feature that was added, I think last season, where if you stay in the storm for long enough, it'll start taking extra damage. This is up to you, and it's totally your choice. Generate storm while receiving from, use it only whenever you're using the generate storm on game start set to no, and you need to set this to a channel and have it activate via another device like a button or a teleporter or something like that. Destroy storm while receiving from, basically that's destroying the storm. If you need to destroy the storm early, you can do it there. And when phase ends transmit on, you can use this to add extra pizzazz, like maybe you award points for people who survive, or like maybe they upgrade their guns on survival. Now we're going to be going over the advanced storm beacon, the recommended settings, and what each setting actually does. Now this one's a little bit more complicated, but it's required to set up and customize each individual phase. So phase 1, we're going to set this as the first phase. It goes up to 50. Phase 1, most of the settings are determined by your advanced storm beacon, but what you do is you place more down to each phase. And this one we're doing phase 1 now, so the end radius doesn't matter because it's phase 1, which is determined by the advanced storm controller. So this setting right here literally doesn't matter at all because it's already set. Phase 1 is the very first phase. Basically, as soon as the storm spawns, it's put into phase 1. And wait time is how long it takes before it starts resizing into phase 2. So we'll have it set to 10 seconds. Resize time, 30 seconds. So basically, that's how. Like that, I'm just saying a time. I recommend making it a little longer for the first zone. That's how long it takes to resize from phase 1 to phase 2. Damage is up to you. I recommend starting low and going higher as it goes. Alright, movement behavior. You can either do move randomly or move to beacon. So move randomly will basically make the zone move randomly, which is determined by the settings underward. Make sure that the bounce radius is set if you're going to have it move randomly. You do not want the zones moving out of the map. And move to beacon will just move to the location of the storm beacon. Move distance min, move distance max. This is for the random. This is basically how far the zone can move, and this can help you customize and make sure the zones don't go crazy. Now we're going to make a second phase. So copy the advanced storm beacon from before and place it where you want the next phase to be. Now we're going to set the phase 2. The end radius, this one now it actually matters. So for this one we should do 10 meters, but I recommend making it like way larger. It depends on the map. We'll get to there, but we're going to set the movement behavior for now to move to beacon just to show you what that's like. If you remembered in the controller, I set the phase 1 radius to 200 meters. So it's 200 meters and it's now going down to 10 because that's where phase 2's thing is. Now that we understand how to use both devices, now we are going to start to create a zone with set positions, mainly for zone wars, but you could use this for mini battle royale too. Generate storm on game start is up to you. I'd recommend yes, but if your players are spawning outside of the zone, then don't do that. But if you do have it's a storm does not generate, you have to make it so it generates on a channel. Storm phases, set this to custom. There's no reason to not have it set to custom for any reason ever. No. Phase 1 radius is up to you. First radius of the zone, whenever the zone spawns, that's what it'll be. You can obviously check by looking on the outsides. You can see this radius itself. I've shown this before, but that's how you can make sure it encapsulates your entire play area. You want to make sure that the whole play area is gotten by this, at least where the players have spawned. Now, delay time is up to you, but I recommend it at 0 seconds. None. Don't set it to 15 like I did. Set it to none. That is basically how long it takes for the storm to actually spawn. On finished behavior, set that to stay. Bounds radius is up to you, but I don't think we need to set it for this because we're doing set zones. Storm sickness is obviously your choice. That's the recent Battle Royale edition. And then the other settings you don't need to touch unless if you obviously didn't generate storm on game start. Now that we have done the storm controller, let's do the storm beacon. So since this is phase 1, let's just place it on top of the storm controller, and let's set the settings as I do. Phase 1 end radius doesn't matter. Wait time is up to you. Basically, this is how long it is when the storm spawns until it actually starts moving. I'd recommend, since it's the first zone, to set it higher than the rest of them. The resize time, I'd set this to a relatively high number. A minute, minute and a half is pretty good. Maybe 2. Damage percentage, keep it low for the first zones, I'd recommend, especially for a zone war setting. And movement behavior, move to beacon, because that's what we are doing. Now we're going to copy it and bring the beacon to the next zone, where you want the next zone to be, the center of it. And set the settings as I do. Set the phase to phase 2. You can set the end radius now to what you want the radius of it to actually be. You should probably make it smaller than the first zone. And then wait time is up to you. I'd recommend like 10 seconds. Resize time is up to you. Well, maybe a little less. Uptick the damage a little bit. And that's all you have to do for phase 2. Now I'm going to show you it in game. Alright, now that we're in game, I'm going to show you a quick little tip. Just to make sure the zones are fair, walk backwards. You should be able to outrun them when walking backwards at the far ends of the zone if you want to be really fair for all players, to give them enough time to be able to build and escape the zone. You don't want the zone to be too quick, or else it'll make it really bad for gameplay. But as you can see right now, it does function. You're able to move. The zone actually moves to the correct location. And now let's do the rest of the beacons. All right, let's do the third zone now. So let's grab our beacon, and we're gonna bring it over here. This is where I want the next zone to be, and we're gonna set the settings. Make sure to set the phase to 3. I forgot to do it here, but I do it later. And just set the meter radius lower. That should be really all you have to do, but you can go back in and change the resize time and stuff as you tweak things. Remember that the resize time, like that, 1.5 minutes, that is how long it takes for it to go from phase 2 to phase 3, all the way over here. So keep that in mind. So like, we're setting the settings for how long it takes to go from this zone to the next zone. We're going to make this zone do slightly more damage, and that should be all we really have to do for this. Now let's copy it and make the next zone. Alright, now let's do zone 4. Don't forget to set the phase again. I forgot it again. Just lower the amount of meters. And for this one, since we're shrinking so much, let's do a little slower zone. This will make it so players can actually get eliminated. Let's head back here, set the thing so it's a little slower, so players actually get the opportunity to fight each other, since this is a later game. Alright, let's speed things up, shall we? So I'm going to be making the next few zones until the end of the match. Of course, up the phase, make it so the radius is smaller. For these later zones, I do indeed recommend making it so it's a little slower. Players actually get time to fight. For the very last zone, you could make it a little faster. Alright, now the zones should be working. As you can see, this is from zone 1 to zone 2, and it works perfectly. If anyone needs any help, you can of course go down to the comments. I'll be happy to help anyone. Alright, now we're going to be setting up random zones in the context of a Zone Wars. So let's start. Generate storm on game start, I recommend that to be yes. Storm phase is custom, of course. Phase 1 radius is up to you. Just make sure it encapsulates all of the players' spawns. Make sure that all the player spawns are within this. And then next up, delay time, set that to none. On finished behavior, stay. Bounds radius, set this so that it encapsulates the entire playing area. So for example, make sure that it's large enough to capture basically the whole island or the whole area you want to play, but that it's not going into like the ocean or anything crazy. You can obviously see the red border, and that's basically how you can tell. And storm sickness is up to you. Don't bother about the rest of these settings, they don't really matter in this case. Alright, now grab out an advanced storm beacon and place it on top of the controller. Phase and end radius do not matter. Wait time, I recommend putting this at a few seconds. For Zone Wars, I'd say give at least 30 seconds for the players to be able to fight from their spawn boxes. The resize time is up to you. Depends on how far you're going. The further you're going, you want the resize time to be a little longer because you obviously want the zone to be slow enough. Damage percentage is up to you, and move randomly for movement behavior. And for this, we're gonna have to move distance around 100 meters. We can obviously do less or more. I would recommend doing a little more since the zones are larger. In general, you might want to make it move a little further so the zones actually go somewhere. So if you go to game, it won't work yet because we have not set up zone 2, so let's do that. Alright, copy the advanced storm beacon, and now we're going to do phase 2. Put it right above it, it doesn't really matter. So set the phase option to phase 2. End radius doesn't really matter, but make sure that it is probably slightly smaller than the first phase. The wait time, I'd recommend making it a little lower than 30 seconds. So I would recommend saying 10-15 seconds. It really depends on how long you want these players to be fighting there, but 15 seconds would work good for a zone war setting. Resize time, set that to a minute and a half. Damage percentage, set that like 5%, doesn't really matter. Movement behavior, move randomly, and move distance minute max. I recommend setting that down a little bit. Let's copy it again and let's set some more settings. So we're gonna set the phase to phase 3, end radius to make it a little smaller. You see the pattern here already. We're gonna have the resize time to be a little longer because we want players to start wanting to actually fight each other. If players are getting this late in the game, then they're stalling. Set the damage up and set the move distance a little lower. And we're gonna do it again. Phase 4. We're gonna set the radius even smaller this time, 20 to 10 meters this time. We'll set the resize time to be maybe around 30 seconds to a minute. It really depends on how far the zones go, but I'm gonna do 30 seconds with a smaller zone that doesn't go as far, 20 meters. And we're gonna set the damage to 10% too. And then now we're going to phase 5. We're gonna set the end radius to something smaller, 5 meters, or this can be the last zone. You can do 0 meters. We're gonna set the resize time to be longer, and we're gonna set the move distance to be farther. And then for the last zone, we're going to set it to 0 meters. This is phase 6. Wait time can be about the same. If you want to change the wait time, of course you can, and I think this is good how it is. As you can see, the system works perfectly. Alright, now we're going to adjust these so they're perfect for a mini battle royale. So we're going to head into the settings, and we are going to set the phase 1 radius to be something higher, like 200, 100 meters. Depends on how big your map really is. You can see how big that is outside, and for me, I think that will work. And then we're going to head over to the first zone. The resize time, we'll make this longer. We will definitely need to make this longer. This is how much it'll take to go from phase 1 to phase 2. And if we head over to phase 2, actually, we just want to make these slightly longer, and definitely for this one, we're going to make it like 75 meters. We can make this one 50, and we can start lowering the time a little bit. I don't know if we should, it's up to you, not that I don't know, but it's up to you if you want to change these move distances to make it better, but just make sure that your bounding radius, so my bounds radius is 200 meters, it's the same size as my highest zone, so that I know that this is how big my play area is. It's this zone right here. If my play area was slightly bigger, I would go for the 300 meter. Like, we can have like a location over here, over there, and it would still work. So everything in here should be fine. And we're gonna head up here. Look, 50 meters. I'm gonna set those a little higher since we have 50 meter radius, and it'll take 1.5 minutes to move to the next zone, which will be zone 4. And for this one, we will make this like 30 meters. And I think this is probably where it starts to get more normal. 30 meters, and then we'll go to 10 meters. And this will, I'll keep these settings the same. And then we can go straight to 0 meters. And there we go. Now this thing should work for a mini battle royale environment. If I start the game, this is what we will see. I had to re-record a lot of this because my power went out whenever I was in the middle of recording this exact segment, which is super annoying. But you see right now, this zone is a little too small for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the game, and I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to head in to this one, where it's 75 meters. I'm going to make that 100. And we're just going to like slightly increase these. And then we can make this 10 meters, and then we can add an extra zone, zone 7, that goes to 0 meters. And that should be good. When I start the game, the one that's in the beacon, that phase 1 starts immediately. That's the zone, that's the initial zone. And then it'll go from phase 1 to phase 2 in the center. So this is phase 2 right here. This zone right here is phase 2. And this is basically a mini battle royale now. But they have 10 seconds until the zone actually starts. For a mini battle royale, I recommend increasing that timer up so that the player has time to loot. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a pretty long time coming when it came to a video. This took me a while to make, and I mean, thanks for sticking around, I guess. This is only my second upload this year. If you enjoyed, subscribe, and thanks for watching. I hope it helped. If you had any any issues, then comment them down below. I'll try to help you, of course. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll start uploading again, hopefully in August. Alright, we'll see you.